You guys are live and I'm recording this. You might want to announce that.
Will do. Have Ruth Ann, okay. I guess others will be joining us, but we can start, I believe. I'd like to welcome everybody to July 20th, 2020 meeting of Coatesville Redevelopment Authority. We did hold an executive session prior to this meeting to discuss real estate and legal matters. I also would like to let everyone know that this meeting is being recorded. Call the meeting to order. First thing on our agenda are our minutes. Ruth Ann has included the minutes of our June 15th meeting. Any questions, comments, changes, alterations to those minutes? If not, could I get a motion to approve them?
I make a motion.
I second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next thing we have are accounts payable, and I'd like to just go through that list and explain a couple of them. The first one we have is for Marino. That's the payment for 4th Avenue, the last installment there, I believe. The check to the redevelopment, these are ones coming out of the account. Check to the redevelopment authority is reimbursement for a Marino invoice that we paid back in January, I believe. And there were issues, if you recall, with getting Marino paid promptly. So we paid him, and we've been waiting to get that money back from PennDOT. We got it back out of this last payment. So that's what that check is for. It's from the train station account to our operating account. The other thing, you'll see one for just Second Century. We had a 10-day, 2-week window to get a grant application in. If you remember, we hired an outside team to help Colleen Terry and her crew get everything together. They busted their backside. So they're Wawa gift cards that we got for that team for putting everything together that quickly. You'll see competitive community, that's Dave Schicchetti. That's his fee that his original contract, plus the other additional things we had done were the other $1,200. That's why it came to $4,200. And Di Romaldo was an appraisal that we had done. I would make a motion to approve the payables.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jack. All those in favor of the payables? Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Additions, deletions, modifications. At this time, the RDA would like to announce that we have, in fact, received replies from both Kingdom Group and NCEC, or NSEC, I'm sorry, concerning their proposed projects for the flats. We did receive the answers to those questions today. We will be reviewing them prior to making any further decisions regarding the flats project. I don't believe we have any presentations, Ruth Ann, is that correct?
No presentation.
Thank you. Citizens' comments on agenda items. Sonny, do you
Nope.
have anything coming in?
No, there's no chat here. Nothing in the chat room.
Thank you. So we're down to new business. And the first thing we have under new business is to receive and consider an affidavit for closing 204, 206 East Lincoln Highway and 207 Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, the old record building. This is the agreement that Mark Sherman had signed and was dependent or contingent, I should say, on him getting the liquor license. He was finally successful in getting that liquor license, and the agreement had a stipulation that within so many days of getting it, he had to close. I believe we're scheduled for August 3rd. Is that correct, Lou?
Yes.
So we would be closing on that property August 3rd. Any questions? I'm certain Lou can answer them.
Alexa, put tablet light on.
If not, could I get a motion?
I'll make the motion, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Could I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tyrone. All those in favor of closing 204, 206, the affidavit? Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. So, hopefully we'll get another property back on the tax rolls, get it improved, and hopefully get a new business in there. And we'll see how that moves forward. The second item we have, letter B as in boy, on our new business is we have an offer for 731, 733 East Lincoln Highway. That is the old East End hardware lot. It's just a grass lot on East Lincoln Highway. The offer is for $32,000. We do not have an agreement of sale. I would propose having an agreement of sale, including a deed restriction that the property remain on the tax rolls, and approving that sale based on our solicitor's approval of the agreement and restriction.
Lou, is there any problem with that being that restricted deed, a deed restriction?
So I had spoken with Tom Taylor in terms of the sales price and the prospective buyer's understanding of what terms and conditions would be included. As I understand it, the offer, the motion now is for $32,000 in the sales price. I do not believe that Tom had indicated at any point that the buyer would object to a deed restriction so that the property remained on the tax rolls. I think there is some question as to what extent the city's mobile food truck ordinance may or may not apply to this particular buyer's intended use, but I think Tom has made it clear to her that the sale from the RDA is the property as is condition, and that it would be up to the buyer to obtain relief and or permits from the city relative to any impact of the mobile food vending ordinance.
So you can put a deed restriction in there, correct? That could be incorporated, Lou?
I have not heard of any objection from the buyer's end of things. Now, the buyer hasn't seen an agreement of sale. The buyer may raise an objection at that point, but that's, I think, a matter for negotiation.
I would make a motion at 32. It has to include the deed restriction.
I would second that.
Thank you, Ricky. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Lou, will you get in touch with Tom, or you want me to get in touch with Tom with that?
No, I'll get in touch with Tom.
Thank you. the letter C under our new businesses in Charlie is the DEPG affidavit. That's a legal issue which we had discussed earlier. And there are a couple things I think that Lou needs from DEPG before we could actually issue that, but
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would recommend that the board approve the form of the certificate of completion with conditions, the conditions being the final payment to the RDA for reimbursement of the final bill for professional expenses reimbursement, and issuance of the updated certificate of title. So at the last minute, within the past hour before the RDA public meeting, I believe we did get an update from the developer DEPG that they had ordered an updated certificate of title. Ruth Ann, I think, confirmed that they had made payment to the RDA for all of the reimbursable bills that had been billed to date. But because this is the middle of July and those still are some unbilled but owing, or I guess assessed invoices that have not yet been billed to DEPG, that's the reason for making that the first condition. So the first condition is final payment to the RDA for reimbursement of expenses, and 2 being the satisfactory condition of an updated certificate of title for DEPG Coatesville, confirming there's no liens or judgments or other liens or encumbrances tying up the property.
okay. Could I get a motion to issue the affidavit based on satisfaction of Lou's requirements there that he just described to us?
I make that motion.
Thank you, Tyrone. Could I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jack. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Thank you. Letter D is in David of new business is a letter of support for the hotel. Basically, as you know, the Marriott is now closed, and there's some current concerns about any vandalism that could occur up there. The chief has concerns, city manager has concerns, Second Century and some others are concerned about it. And there's a letter that has been drafted by Second Century, and basically we would need to sign it if we support that position. So could I get a motion on that letter?
I'll make that motion, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Second.
I'll second it, Joe.
Thank you, Tyrone. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Sonny, do you have any citizens' comments out there?
No, nothing on.
Nothing on the chat. Okay. It must be too hot for Zoom tonight, because we've had a big crowd here in the last couple months. It seems to have shriveled a little bit tonight, but that's all
You have
right.
you have a few watching on YouTube, but no comments.
Okay, okay. Our next meeting is August 17th. I don't see a lot of change. I think we'll probably be doing Zoom again. When there's talking about open schools with virtual schools and so forth, I don't see an end to this for a while. And I mean, we're getting our work done. I mean, any comments from you guys? You're all right with this?
I think it's fine.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
comfortable.
I don't have a problem with it.
Good,
And-
good. Everybody's happy with it. Sonny, I mean, you're running these things, so
No problem. Works for
very
me.
good. Okay, could I get a motion to adjourn then?
Make that motion.
I'll second it. Thank you, everyone, for chiming in, and Do your homework. You got a lot of information there that came from the two proposals. And I may be in touch in a week or so. We may want to have an executive session to discuss that stuff. Okay?
Yep.
Sounds
Thank you.
good.
Have a good evening, all.
Okay.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
Lou.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Right.
Thanks. Good night.